What's up, YouTube? My name is Rob and I am back for yet another reaction video. And this time I'm checking out a rapper I've seen before. I think I checked out his Fire in a Booth, if I'm not mistaken. Or he had a verbal assassination where he really impressed me. Lowkey. And this time I'm checking out a really heavily requested rap. And I have 4 shout outs that I need to give out for this rap in particular. First off, I'm going to give a shout out to a YouTuber by the name Daniel. Now this guy, he was really involved just vocally on my channel in the last couple of videos. In the last couple of videos I put out, he had a lot to say, and I appreciate the input. Whether it's positive, negative, okay, I appreciate the input. I really do. I'm just going to say that. Next YouTuber, another supporter of my channel, Samuel Hunter. Again, Samuel Hunter. He also has been very vocal, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for giving me your input and how you feel and how you felt about Akala in that sense. And when you last reacted to my last video, thank you so much for telling me your feelings and views. I really appreciate it. I really do. This next guy is not new at all. The Bunny Monster. The Bunny Monster, and you can probably see it right here. It says blame it on my ex, and I just found that funny. I just died, man. It's like blame the name on my ex. I'm like, okay. And then with the full support of the Bunny Monster, Brian Harkin fully supported the Bunny Monster, and he had like 4 or 5 different suggestions. Brian Harkin was like, dude, I support all of those, right? I support all of those. And I'm checking out probably 2 on the Bunny Monsters list. This is one of them. And after that, those 2 dudes, they had a fun little conversation in which they got together and they started discussing, well, hey, maybe this week you can put in for this rapper, and maybe next week I can put in for the other rapper, and our paths are crossing, and we'll get these videos checked out. It'll be super awesome. It'll be great and all. And I'm just like, wow. Just wow. I just love it. I really just love it that we bringing people together. We talking about this, and we just sharing the views together. Even though it's like people you've never met, it's like it all hits you the same way. And if you really just appreciate it, you really just take it in and just appreciate others who appreciate the same things you're into. I just really love it. I love that. Oh man. All right. So just thank you all for checking out my channel, supporting my channel in the ways that you have. Again, that is Daniel, Samuel Hunter, the Bunny Monster, and Brian Harkin. That's the people I'm giving shout outs for this video recommendation for me to check this video out. Now, before I get into this one, when I pulled this particular video up, I noticed right off the bat, it said that this video had been banned from TV. And just seeing that just made me think myself, oh crap, this is going to really get into it. And I kind of dreaded going into it from the get-go, because I just know this is going to be like hyper political. And this really can get under people's skin. This really can turn people on each other and all that. Look, just come out respecting one another. That's all I got to say to that. And let's just take the time to just appreciate what this guy has to say. And if it ends up being way worse than I'm imagining, hey, I guess I'll throw my hands up and call it. Like, I was shocked. I guess I'll call it. But you know what? Let's just keep this a place where we can just respect each other. Don't call it a safe space. God forbid, call it a safe space. But let's just chill. All right? Let's just chill. So, I'm not gonna waste no time getting into this. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only like 3 minutes. I think the full one, or a different version of it, is like 5 minutes, but this is, I guess, more focused on. So if it's like abridged or like cut off in the beginning or the end, if it just stops abruptly, don't freak out. I think it's meant to just do that on purpose. And it also helps me out for some copyright issues, but I went into that with my whole Bugsy Malone thing. But anyway, no more time wasted. Kicking the sucker off in 3, 2, 1, click. Obama Nation.
This track is not an attack upon the American people. It's an attack upon the system within which they live. Since 1945, the United States has attempted to overthrow more than 50 foreign governments. In the process, the US has caused the end of life for several million people and condemned many millions more to a life of agony and despair. The strength of your dreaming prevents you from reason. The American dream only makes sense if you're sleeping. It's just a cruel fantasy. Their politics took my voice away, but their music gave it back to me. The land where the lumpen are consumed by consumption, killing themselves to shovel down food in abundance. I guess a rapper from Britain is a rare voice. America is capitalism on steroids. Natives kept in casinos and reservations. Displaced slaves never given reparations. Take everything from Native Americans and wonder why I call it the racist experiment. Afraid of your melanin, the same as it's ever been. That ain't gonna change with the race of the president. I see imperialism under your skin tone. You could call it Christopher Columbus syndrome. Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Is it Obama's nation or an abomination?
Columbus is no hero. None. At all. Is that our anthem? That starts to go band?
Entertainer, the world's devastator.
That's
From
hard.
Venezuela to Mesopotamia. Your cameras lie cause they have to hide the savage crimes committed on leaders that happen to try and nationalize eating competitions while the world's been starving. Beat up communism with the help of Bin Laden. Where would your war of terror be without that man? Every day you create more Nidal Hassans. Kill a man from the military, you're a weirdo. But kill a wog from the Middle East, you're a hero. Your country is causing screams that never reach your ear holes. America inflicted 1,000,000 ground zeros. Follow the dollar and swallow your humanity. Soldiers committing savagery you never even have to see. Those mad at me, writing emails angrily. I'm not anti-America, America is anti-me. Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Doesn't make any difference when they bomb your nation. Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Is it Obama's nation or an abomination? Doesn't make any difference when they bomb your nation. I don't care if him and Cheney are long lost relations. What matters more is the policies. I lost my patience. Stop debating, bringing race into the conversation. Occupation and cooperation equals profit making. It's over, people wake up from the dream now. Nobel Peace Prize, Jay-Z on speed dial. It's the substance within, not the color of your skin. Are you the puppeteer or the puppet on the string? So many believed it was instantly gonna change. There was still Dennis Rush, Brzezinski and Robert Gates. What happened to Chaz Freeman? What happened to Tristan Anderson? It's a machine that keeps that man breathing. I have the heart to say what all these other rappers aren't. Words like Iraq, Palestine, Afghanistan. The war's on and you morons were all wrong. I call Obama a bomber cause those are your bomb, your bomb, your bomb, your bomb, your
All right. Well, I see why it got banned. All right. Yeah, I just rewatched this video now, probably 3 or 4 times. This was intense, and I really wanted to make sure I had a really good, decent response in addressing this particular video, because this thing just has my mind racing right now. Y'all don't understand. And it has my mind racing because there's so much I can say to it. There's so much that can be said. There's so much that he touched upon. And there's so much that can trigger other... Okay, I'm not saying this to defend people that's probably going to be triggered. I'm saying there's so much in this that would trigger people I know. And would trigger people who claim themselves to be like true heart and pride blood Americans, right? That would really be triggered by this. Oh, I can't believe it. Saying all this stuff about America. Oh, no. I agree with most of this video. That's not my problem. I agree with most of this video. But I want to just take... I don't want to just like give a 2-minute or 3-minute or 5-minute just review of it on a topical level. I really don't want to do that. I really want to take the time, go through it, because this thing really had my mind racing, and I just want to go through with what I agree with, what I disagree with, and then just give you just give you why I agree with, or just give you my thoughts on what I disagree with, and just hear me out, all right? So we're gonna go through these lyrics together. I'm gonna pull this video up right now. So come on, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so check out these lyrics. All right, so before I even get into this lyrics really quick, I just want to say something about the video itself. Something I noticed like right off the bat. He establishes that the video itself was in a cinematography standpoint of it, was set up in such a way that he automatically made himself the enemy of the United States. He set himself up to be viewed that way, because the actual video itself is almost like the viewpoint of a terrorist making a threat against the United States, right? And he almost like portrays himself as a terrorist, but in the way that he just like starts to talk and do it, and just like the way he's facing the camera, the way the lights beaming down on him and all, that's kind of what it made you feel like. Like he is somebody that's sending out a dangerous threat, and he wants you to take him seriously, he wants you to hear him out, and just gives you that immersive feeling into the rap. And that in itself just really just throws you into it. Just gets you. It just does a lot. It just does a lot. And he calmly says the words, "This track is not an attack upon the American people. It's an attack upon the system in which they live." Okay, so and this is probably a really good thing that he did, because honestly, so many people just would not be receptive of what he had to say if he didn't preface this by saying, "Look, I don't have a beef with the American people. I have a beef with your government." And honestly, when I was watching this rap, I kind of had to throw myself back to that line many times, because you almost can kind of take it personally when he starts to say a lot of the things he's saying. You almost can really start to take it a certain way. And you always have to, I kept having to remind myself, he's not trying to attack me personally, me Robert Smalls. He's trying to attack like the bad acts that my country has been able to get away with, and it basically sent out the message that he needs to stop, which I can agree with. I can get behind that, but he goes hard, and when he does, it's just like not even a joke. So let's start with this video. Let's go through this. So right off the bat, I have no disagreement there. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, 1945, so that's around World War II. I have no disagreement there. And a great example of the countries that was taken over that we can truly blame as our mess, Iran. They had a democratically elected leader, and we went and kicked that man out of power, and ever since it's been a hot mess. Iran is our fault. Iran is the United States' fault. We need to straight up admit that, alright? That's just, and, well, I'm not going to even just say Iran. A bunch of countries, in a bunch of conflicts in the Middle East in general is our fault, but I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I'm not disagreeing with any of that for the moment, but just stick with me. All right, so we get to this first verse. The strength of your dream prevents you from reason. Your American dream only makes sense when you're sleeping. Now, okay, that right there. All right, now that's a controversial topic even in our own country. People many times will go off and say, "Look, the American dream isn't real. Look at all these people that's oppressed. Look at all these people that don't get far ahead. Look at all these people that prey on the middle class, the upper elites, and in the end, we end up putting people in power that protect those elites instead of serving the people as it was intended by our founders." Right? Well, to that I say this: a dream is still there. The idea that somebody should be able to be in a system in which they can work and make a better life for themselves and grow up to be a better person and make a better life, can escape from unimaginable horrors and can start new, can start fresh. That was the premise of what our country was founded on, and what inspires so many of our people to go out and serve and protect and defend our country. That was the premise, right? Now, when you ask anybody what they feel about the American dream, they'll say we like the American dream. They'll say we like the American dream in the sense that we hope and we want to have that type of country. So that's the ideal that we tell ourselves. It's the ideal that people tell themselves. But it's not necessary. But he totally calls it right. It's not something that's being actually in practice. So what's the point of the American dream? And that is a controversy in itself. It really is. Now, it really is. We had these good morals, supposedly, that we want to stick by, but ultimately end up being hypocrites by not carrying them out. That's the idea right there. That's the idea. I really can't disagree with that. I really can't disagree with that. But again, it goes back to that first line. I'm not attacking you, but I'm attacking your government. But right there, you are kind of attacking the people, because that is something that people do take seriously and do hold close and dear to their lives. I can't just sit here and say that all the soldiers and all the people trying to go out there are just evil. I can't do that. But he goes into it deeper. And yeah, he kind of does make that analogy. And it becomes a little rougher to just sit through for people that I would know, and people that are out there. So we go deeper. It says it's just a cruel fantasy. The politics took my voice away, and that's exactly what I just explained before. The elites, a big thing with politics. Too much money in the political sphere. The people aren't being represented. Upper class are, and then we try to protect the elites, and then we don't really protect the people as it was intended to by the founding fathers, and that's why we're constantly screwed. That's why we're constantly screwed over. Mark my words. No doubts about it. We're in agreement. We're not living to the potential that our country has sworn its creed by. We're not doing that. That's where I agree, but I disagree with the fact that we shouldn't at least try to live by that premise. Now, if you want to call us a hypocrite, you can call us a hypocrite and saying, look, this is our ideals that we claim to live by, and we're not living by it, but I believe we should try, at least try, to live by those ideas and try to create a place where we can be that supporting place. And if we're not falling short of it, we need to get off our asses and make something happen. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. So let's get off with the dream. The land where they're lumping in by their consumptions, killing themselves to shovel down food in abundance. Yeah. I did a paper a few years ago in my for my English class, and I actually wrote about the duality of how in the world could we have simultaneous issues of mass starvation and mass obesity. And I was actually prompted to do that, of all places, from a movie, a freaking Disney movie, Tomorrowland. There was a last scene in that movie where one of the bad guys, so the cheesy bad guy, said, how do we have all these people starving, and we got half the world's population starving and can't get food at all, and the other half of the population struggling with obesity and having health risks with obesity. And yeah, that's a problem, but I disagree with the premise that you're attributing that only to America. That's a global problem. That's a global responsibility of all countries, not just America, all upper echelon countries, to try to help out the poor. That's not just on us. I'm sorry. All right. Now, but he saves it by bringing in the whole point of capitalism, which I agree with, and we get into the military industrial complex of our country and how it connects to the war and how it connects to basically the crap going on in the Middle East. All right. It's a machine, man. It's basically a machine. You have all these lobbyists in our government that's fighting to send us out into a conflict, because when all the dust clears and all the bullets start flying and all that happens, they make money off the contracts. They make money off the people that they end up arming. They make money off of war bonds and all kind of crap. It's a machine, all right? And if you ever check out TYT Network, this is guy, a YouTuber. There's a channel on YouTube, TYT Network, Young Turks. Cenk Uygur. That's his name, Cenk Uygur. And when he responded to it, and recently Trump had launched missiles into Syria, but didn't even know what country he bombed. I'm like, oh my God, this fool. Threw bombs in Syria at when he was at Mar-a-Lago. He was eating dinner with the Prime Minister of Japan, and he said in between the meal and the dessert, I think, he had ordered all these missiles. And this guy, Cenk Uygur, covered it and basically said, look, man, we're inching closer and closer and closer to another war, and at what cost? At what cost? Only cost it is for other people's lives, not us. And that's the crazy thing about it, the whole situation. That he does kind of get into at the end of the rap. He does kind of get into at the end of the cipher, and I really agree with. He's totally right there. He's totally right there. I just can't even. You know what? I'm being overly dramatic with it too. But it's a machine, and ultimately, my point with that is, and the point that Lowkey made when he just connected the two of them, and he was totally right. When you tie the unprecedented, ridiculous upper class the reach for that upper class capitalism, and you tie it to government, and then you let war be the outlet for bridging the two. You have people making money off of war, then of course the war's never going to stop. People want the war because people want the money. And that's the issue that I totally agree with, is screwed up with our country. And I totally agree, Lowkey was absolutely right in putting that out. Now, going back to this right here. He talks about the Native Americans. He talks about what happened to them. Ultimately, and building on the whole capitalism thing, building on the freaking homes, man. The Trail of Tears. That's unbelievable. Worst president we ever had, Andrew Jackson. That was responsible for it. Damn. And then talking about that was all, and ultimately that was all for money. I can't say he's wrong. I can't say Lowkey is wrong with that. Ultimately, it's horrible. In essence, it was a genocide. A lot of Americans don't think about it that way. It was a genocide. What happened to the Native American people? It really was. It was. And in the end, it ended up being a situation where people just got money out of it. Who can be proud of that history? He goes into slavery. Do we even need to go into slavery? Do we? I know there was this one guy in the comment section, Daniel. He was like, "Hey man, you need to check out the history of how white people were slaves." I looked at that and I'm like, okay, but let's just be clear. Slavery is wrong, period. It don't matter who's being enslaved. Period. Afraid of your melanin, the same as it's ever been. That ain't gonna change with the race of the president. Yeah. A lot of people were saying that when Obama gets into office, things are gonna change, things are gonna get better, things are gonna improve. But here's the thing. A lot of the times when people were talking about that, they were often referring to the struggle going on with African Americans in our country. And brutality going on with our police system and that. And that's a whole other issue in our country. Whole other issue. And people were saying Obama's going to get in the White House, he's going to start dropping all these laws and start doing that. And he's going to fix it and it's all going to be good. Well, no. He's accurate there. Lowkey is accurately saying no, that didn't happen. And in many people's eyes, many black people's eyes, Obama failed us on that level. The only semblance of a way you can defend Obama on that is saying that, look, if Obama got into office and started power tripping, it's just basically threatening the status of how everything's been going for so long, then you almost can guarantee we never have another black president again. You almost can guarantee there'll never be another president, a minority again. And that's like the only defensible argument you possibly can say for that. And in the end, I guess that's kind of where we're left at with that. And then here we get to a little spot of ambiguity for me, not indifference to, but just yeah, okay. I see your imperialism under your skin tone. You you call it Christopher Columbia. Wow, you call it Christopher Columbus syndrome. Well, okay. You trying to compare Obama to Christopher Columbus? Let me just pause this real quick. You seriously trying to compare Barack Obama to Christopher Columbus? He himself is almost, no, not almost, is also in a way responsible for his own genocide. And you're comparing Obama to that? That dude, Columbus, was responsible for a whole race of Indians getting their hands chopped off for not finding amounts of gold. Certain amounts of gold, X number of amounts of gold. He himself is the reason that all of the native people that originally lived in what we consider today the Caribbeans were enslaved. That's kind of messed up there on that level. Try to make that comparison. But yeah, we'll go back to tell me your thoughts on that. Put it in the comment section below. I think that's a lopsided comparison. Him and Christopher Columbus. And I straight up said it in the video. Columbus is no hero. No one. We have, and it's messed up. He has a holiday. He's not a hero at all. At all. Why do we praise this man? Why? He wasn't even a competent explorer. He got lost. Why? And I had an argument with this guy one time, and I said to him, "Man, Columbus ain't a hero. He didn't hurt all these people. Basically, caused a genocide in itself." I'm like, "Well, wait." He's like, "Wait a minute, Rob. He was a European." I'm like, "So?" I'm like, look, the European during their age of exploration, it would have been another one if it wasn't Columbus. Well, it had to happen at some point." And I just stared at him. I just stared at the inhumanity that I saw that from that guy. I was just taken back. I was wow. So I'm gonna go back into this room and zoom. All right. And then I think this is the chorus or the hook. Oh, and then this big thing, and then I'm gonna mention right here. Another thing that established himself to be the opposition that I really think is gonna be, that I really thought was interesting, but twisted and scary. It had a bunch of different feelings at the same time when he did this. He flipped the chorus of, no, not the chorus. Basically the first verse. I'm sorry, the first verse of our national anthem against us. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? He flipped that against us to this demonic, twisted sounding thing, and basically made the point that this song that we've been singing since we're kids, we're taught this song in second grade. No, not even that. Maybe kindergarten and first grade when we're little, so little. In essence, glorifies war. And crap, that's something I've actually never thought about. I thought about the people. I thought about the situation when I was older, and I was actually introduced to the story of Francis Scott Key, the guy who wrote it, and how he was held captive, and how this is what he actually saw, and this is what he wrote this down as a poem, and yeah, but. And you kind of think about I think we kind of celebrate it as a song of bravery and overcoming struggle, right? But no, he flips out the message of saying you glorify war, even when you claim to be patriotic. Your best patriotism is glorifying war. That's new. I gotta give you credit there. This is me clapping. I gotta give you credit there on that. That's different. Something I've never thought of. Something that's like making... Okay, I'm going to pause this one more time. Something that's making me reevaluate and relook at this thing in a different light and in a different way. There was... There was a night show host on Comedy Central. His name was Larry Wilmore. he ended up getting pushed off air for doing something, saying something stupid on live TV. But after that, he had one last episode of his TV show, and in his TV show, in the backdrop of his TV show, he has a picture of an upside down globe, and as he signs off for the last time and shows the picture of the upside down globe, he goes into explaining, well, hey, people often say, well, hey man, that globe's upside down. And he ends up looking back at them and he said, and this is my response when people ask me why the globe's upside down. He says to him, well, look man, the globe's not upside down. For all you know, it could be right side up. And he said people would often look at him with a confused face like, what the hell are you talking about? And he would respond by saying, look, the point isn't that the globe is upside down in your view. The point is that it's right side up in someone else's view. If you're actually floating around in space, relative direction does not matter. What matters is that you're seeing something that you've been so accustomed to looking at in a certain way for so long in your entire life that when you suddenly change the view of it, it becomes almost foreign to you. And the whole point of what I was doing here on the show was to get people to change their point of view of something they've been looking at for all their lives and really get them to reevaluate so they can understand and appreciate it from someone else's point of view, from going out on a different side of that, a different note of that. And I honestly took that away as a very deep thing, a deep message. So when I saw that with the with our anthem, and I had that going, I had a lot going on inside of me where it's like, okay, yeah, I've known this song all my life, but I never stopped to think about the fact that all those bombs were going off for war. All those bombs were going off to kill someone. All those bombs were going off to send a message, ultimately. Ultimately, it was to send a message. And when it came down to it, one man were totally incapable of coming together and just talking this out. And ultimately, it gets into not being as simplistic as that, but it is complex. It is. It really is. You know what? I'm going on with this video for a really long time. Was entertainer. I'm looking at the lyrics right now. You know what? I'm gonna end on one more thing that I just kind of thought was just interesting with this. You know, I know you guys over there in the UK or abroad, I'm just gonna say, you probably have your view of Obama. But over here in the United States, we have a bunch of different views, I should say, of Obama as well. Ultimately, I agree with most of this rap. I really do. But in the end, there's two things I really want to drive home as to why I was kind of torn and why I thought I had to actually go through lyrics on this. However bad, he ends this rap with saying, I have the heart to say what other rappers aren't. Words like Iraq, Palestine, Afghanistan. The war's on, and you morons were all wrong. I call Obama a bomber because all those are your bombs, right? So he's basically flipping this back on Obama, and he also called him a hypocrite for having a Nobel Peace Prize. And then there's a little known fact about him. He's dropped the most bombs in the Middle East than any of the last recent presidents. And yet, despite all of that, despite the incredibly dark view that Lowkey was trying to paint about Obama with all of that, and then trying to call him out, trying to say you kill all those people, you cause countless ground zeros. He said something to that effect many times over. Your country has been responsible for trying to overthrow 50 plus countries and all this other stuff. Besides that, and he ultimately lays a lot of that on Obama. Despite all that, I hate to be the one to break it to you. I actually thought it was kind of cute. that he was doing all that? Because despite all of that, half of our country thought he was too weak. Half of the people in our country thought this man, when he would respond to a situation like dropping bombs or try to go put people on the ground, put boots on the ground, whatever he did, when he did something out of the U.S., half of our country routinely stood up and said, you know what, Obama, you are weak. You ought to did more. You bombed like a few people, you ought to bomb all of them. You were that wasn't enough. That was weak. We need a better president. Come on. We need a better president. Go anybody. And that anybody was Trump. And that anybody was Trump. All right. I want y'all to just let that sink in. We had a whole portion of our country saying that all the horrors and stuff that this guy's attributing to Obama wasn't even enough. And that, I believe, is the scariest part about my own country. And honestly, I think this video probably came about 6 or so years too early. Because if he actually could see the neo-Nazi crap going on now, I think he have a whole new... I think this rap would be twice as long, if not 3 times as long. And this is probably now a 25 plus minute video for a 3-minute video. But yeah. And then also too, I also want to just drive home as also, United States isn't the only one doing this crap. Russia, China, other countries in Europe. And in the end, we as people need to hold all our governments accountable. Because I believe when it all comes down to it and it all matters, the humanity of all people, the humanity of the people will ring out and should win out. And he was right when he said all those atrocities that we're causing and we're not even seeing, that in itself is a problem, because the people need to be fully aware of what they're causing, in essence. And Akala made this point too. You're paying your tax dollars to go kill some people. Akala made that same point. So I just want to send that message out. We all have that responsibility. And we all need to make that change, make that difference. If you actually stayed to check out my whole reaction to this video, I really appreciate you. I really do. Because I went on far too long on this short video. I went on far too long. Far too long. But I actually wanted to give you my genuine opinion. I didn't want to give you some half-assed thought where I didn't actually think about it. I did. I really did. And I had to think hard about how I was going to say what I was going to say. But these issues go deep. Very deep. And please tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Put it in the comment section below. I want to hear you. I really do want to hear you.